2 spot.
Go.
1-1.
1 clap. I got 1. I need 1 clap. Maddie.
1, 2.
1 clap. Grady.
Nagel 2.
Corey.
1-1.
1 clap. Alex. Not here. We'll get 2. Mike. Pete.
0-4.
Cam.
1-1.
1 clap.
Go.
Ronnie.
Go.
Did Ronnie get 1?
No.
No, Ronnie's off from the.
I'll give him 2.
Yeah.
Brian.
Bagel 1.
Colton.
1-2.
1 clap. Colin.
0-1. Going big, man.
Sean S.
Close not one of these.
He got 1.
He got 1.
Yeah.
1 clap for Sean.
Oh, you got one.
We'll give him 1. Wayne did not get 1, I don't believe.
Kill your food dragon.
That's cool. Faison.
He was on the board.
He did get 1.
He was on the
Faison
board.
got 1.
Let's
Faze
clap
got
one.
1. Sean got 1.
Let's get a clap for Faison. 1 clap.
Where did they be at? Or OKC.
They'd be in OKC.
Sean L.
1-1.
1 clap.
You don't miss.
And Mr. Josh.
Josh is, we wipe him.
We can wipe him.
Wipe him.
He quit?
Back from Joplin.
You just want to waste our time for one day?
Yeah, I just want to see how pro did it, man.
Yeah, well, apparently
There's no
you did it very well because you shot the that too, right?
Don't walk on
Maddie got the sales roll.
Yeah, if you're translating an old system, the door sensors might work and stuff, but you can never translate a smoke detector. Always have to do a new smoke detector.
Also,
what's up?
let's go.
Hey, welcome.
Let's do it.
Guys, we got Ramon. He's gonna come. Ramon, where are you from?
I'm from Texas originally.
Texas? What do you like to do?
Sail.
You like to sell?
Yeah.
Right place.
That was a trick. I got a question though. For the sales rule.
Yeah,
What if it's a brand new AET system?
we still don't
Doesn't work.
translate smoke detectors.
Yeah, but what about the door sensors?
Not brand new. A lot of times the encryption doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's like a 50-50, 40.
Yeah, that's
But
it.
if
Also,
it's brand
sometimes
new,
you
it
can't.
probably won't. Right?
Also, if you translate, the equipment doesn't come with a warranty.
You just upgrade everything.
Just upgrading it with warranty.
Finance.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Wait, what are y'all? Hey, rookies don't know what that means.
It means like if you have an old system and you want to use some of their equipment so you can bank points, you have to give them new smoke detectors.
Okay.
Sometimes you can use old door sensors or old motion detectors. You can never do an old
So
smoke
if they
detector.
have
So like
a
a
system in the house.
Yeah.
So a good example would be like if you rocked up to a house and it had an old wired-in system that still worked and still beeped,
Yeah.
and it had like 4 doors, all the windows, and 2 motions, which would be 4 plus, it'd be at least 8 points, and if they wanted smoke and glass, you're probably looking at 12 points. But if you do a translator, it's only 2.5 points for a wired-in translator. So you just put the translator on wherever the panel is, and you put a new panel in, and then it uses all of the wiring equipment in the house. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
So does that mean if they have AET, like if the
It could be any company. It could be any company. It could be an old Vivint wiring. It could be old 360 wiring.
If they have an old security system, take a picture of it, send it to your helpline, and we'll tell you if it'll translate.
Yeah.
Take a picture of the panel and the
we can
motion.
set up if they have ADT but it's super old and they want new shit, we can.
So long as it's not active, we can't reset it up.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
It doesn't have to be AT, it could be any company.
It could be any company.
If it's probably within the last 4 or 5 years, they started encrypting everything. So if it's new Vivint, new Brinks, new Alert, if any of that's within the 3-4 years, everything's gonna be encrypted. And you can check the door sensors. If they're super skinny door sensors, you can't use them. But if they're like the bigger blockier ones, more likely you to use them.
They're hardwired.
They're hardwired. If you see the little magnet in the door frame, that's probably good. But just go to their, they have a can in the closet, a big box with all the wires run to it. If that's clean and it looks good and all the wires are still good, then the technician can translate. He puts a unit in there and translates all of it over. But if it's a mess and looks like all scrambled, like the technicians aren't gonna mess with it. So I would just do new stuff at that point.
It's like super simple. They already have all of the stuff in their house, and so if you're not finance it and just do all new stuff. But if you're not financing it for 2.5 points, you can just use everything that's there, which is super cool.
I haven't translated
But
it
then-
in a couple years.
but
New
then-
Orleans taught me how to not translate because whenever somebody's door sensor quits working, they call Yuma and they expect ADT to start fixing it and all that. So it's like, we didn't do that work. So
Yeah.
I know for me personally, I don't like putting my name on other people's work. So I haven't translated a system in years just because I don't want to put my name on anything.
There's no lifetime warranty on something we translated.
If he finances, just upgrade everything.
Just give them all new stuff.
Yeah. But you can still use that as a transition inside. You got an old panel in there we can.
Yeah. I mean, always go look at it.
Yeah.
Go look at it and be like, oh yeah, that's
Well, that's terrible.
Finance, you
That's
can go
a
in and
fire
translate
hazard.
just to up the MMR and then translate the windows if they have window sensors, but then still give them new door sensors.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, but it's an easy transition because you don't want to lose momentum in your sale, right? So it's like, oh, I already have a system. And then, yeah, exactly. Just perfect. We can actually use some of the stuff that you have so you don't lose anything. And then just flip it into a positive. Something that you try to use as an objection towards you, you just make it as a positive. Yeah, perfect. Sometimes we can actually use some of the stuff you have so you don't have to lose anything. I can see, depending on what panel you have, you might have to take a look real quick. Boom, easy transition.
Good sales work.
We're still on sales, alright. Great, you got the thought.
No, I was scrolling earlier, saw the quote.
Tell us.
Either you run the day or the day runs you.
I like it.
How does that translate to us?
However you want to translate it yourself.
Yeah. Don't let the heat get over you.
What's understood need not be said.
Alright, Corey, you got the thanks.
I'm thankful for waking up today, giving me a chance to get out here and protect people's home and family.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, Corey!
What's up, Corey? Good morning, man. We missed you at softball this morning. Happy ball, whatever.
Man, I'm sorry, bro.
Mike P's got the pitch.
Man,
Alex isn't here.
Yeah.
Well, Mike P's got the pitch.
Mike P's got the
Mike
pitch.
P, man. Mike P's got the pitch.
What a pitch!
Let's see what Mike P's got in his sleeve.
Day hand.
Mike P.
What's in that sleeve, Mike? Dejan Jang. Dejan Jang.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going? I'm Mike with ADT. Good to meet you, man. How you doing today?
Doing pretty well.
Yeah, good. So just want to let you know what I'm doing in the neighborhood. Actually, we're out here choosing a couple of homes to keep our sign out for us. Just for keeping the sign on your front lawn, we can come through and set you guys up with the whole security system and then 2 of Google's new
We had someone
cameras.
come by like last week. We're not really interested in ADT.
For sure, definitely. Obviously, I know a lot of your neighbors have been looking into getting cameras, with all the craziness that's going on. I know your neighbor, Mr. Brian over there, he got his truck broken into.
Brian?
Brian, right there in the red house.
Yeah, I know Brian.
Yeah, we got him set
When
up
did
a
that
couple.
happen?
I believe it was like a couple of weeks ago. He was telling me he actually got the truck back though. Lucky him. But obviously, not everybody can be so lucky. But what we do is we come through and we set you up with the whole security system because obviously, cameras don't call the cops for you. But the reason we're out here doing this is Google bought out 70% of ADT. I don't know if you read about that anywhere.
I didn't see it.
No, you haven't seen it anywhere, but I don't know if you ever seen these commercials with the 2 property brothers, but that wasn't really working, so instead of them putting
Yeah, I don't
millions of
like those
dollars,
guys.
yeah, instead of them,
Scammers.
yeah, for sure. Instead of them putting millions of dollars into them, they're putting the millions of dollars back into y'all, so they're getting y'all set up.
So what are you paying for exactly? You
So-
say you pay me?
So
How much
yes,
do you pay?
just for keeping the sign out, we go ahead and we set you up with all the equipment, all your
So I get
devices,
everything
keeping
on the
system
sheet?
connected. Yes, sir. Well, no, not everything. So you get everything on the security system, and then whatever 2 pieces of equipment you feel you would use the most on the bottom. I personally like the door lock just because I'm always losing my keys. But, it's personal preference. But I can show you real quick. So have you ever worked with a security system before?
No, what did Brian get?
So what Brian did, what we got for him was he had the doorbell camera out front because he could still see his car from his front door, and then we got him an outdoor camera for the back, so whenever his dogs go out in the backyard, he can still see them and stuff.
Okay, well, yeah, I know, I've looked at cameras before, but I don't wanna pay for cameras.
Oh, well, for sure, that's actually the best part. So we come in and we cover that cost for you. All you're doing is keeping the system connected.
I mean, I probably won't do it, but if I was to do it, I'd probably do like the outdoor camera.
Okay, for sure. So yeah, so we would just put the camera and, in your situation, we put it up here. That way you're covering all ground. If you don't get packages here a lot, I don't see really a need for the doorbell camera. But we can get you an outdoor camera that looks over all your cars and everything like that. So I can show you really much how the system works.
Work.
Oh, that's your work? Yeah, I'll make it really quick for you, man. I'll just show you how this works real quick. We start with the doors right here. On the doors, do you mind if I take my shoes off? Or
No, go ahead.
All right.
Go.
Alright, so, well, I'll let Nick go. So, Pro was the crime drop, right? Because that differentiated you when he was trying to get you off his door, but you brought back the urgency to the sale. Because in his mind, it's like, oh, I'm just going to shoot this guy at the door. But because you brought in the crime drop, you talked about what happened to the neighbors, that made Kyle interested. We got a truck broken into, now they're going to be more intent to listen. And that builds your urgency in your sale. So, yeah, crime drop was really good. You knew your neighborhood, and you just kept composure through the entire sale. Your tone was calm, it didn't throw you off. So that helped you keep your control. So, a couple things, Google bought out 70% of ADT. It was like 20% of ADT. So, yeah, just
They've all been saying different percentages.
I thought it was 70%.
Yeah, I wouldn't say 70 because then that just makes it seem like ADT's not a big company. We are a big company, So, hey, we just brought Google to help us with the technology. We're the biggest and best security company. We're just using their technology because that's what they're good at.
I just say we partnered.
Yeah, partner with.
You got the partnership.
And explain advertising. So you kind of were like, you wanted to get a quick yes, and you're like, yeah, just leave the sign up and do all this stuff. They have to understand what's in it for us. It's not going to work if you don't tell them. Like some of us are scared, like, oh, I don't want to tell them to do something. I tell them what they have to do for me because that legitimizes the sale. Hey, we're not just giving this to everyone. You do have to do 3 things for us. I'll say stuff like that to the customer. You got to give a sign up. You got to give us some referrals. And you got to be flexible. If you can do those 3 things, then we'll pay for all this, right? Because if you just throw like, we pay for it, it sounds desperate and it sounds scammy. So explain, hey, we need you to keep the sign up. Reason being, neighbors buy what neighbors have. And then explain the commercials. Commercials don't work. If you can get the sign up and tell some people, that'll help us out. So emphasize advertising more and what they have to do for us would probably be the biggest thing I would change. And then I never talk about stuff they're not getting. Never. So I don't want to paint a negative connotation. I only want to talk about the stuff that they are getting. Oh, the doorbell camera, but you're not going to get that? It's like, well, why don't I get that, right? So if you're not going to pitch something, just don't even talk about it. I never talk about stuff that they're not going to get. Oh, glass break or motion detector. Oh, we're not going to do the motion detectors. No, I just explain the cool part of the glass break. I never talk about stuff they're not getting. Because it doesn't add, it's fluff, and you can take that out of your pitch every time. But other than that, bro, that was money.
Shit, Mike.
I think Google bought 6%.
Yeah.
I just Googled it, it's 6%.
There you go.
I thought it was 20.
I was wrong. Yeah,
No, we're all wrong. I thought it was 4%.
Yeah, whatever. Just partner with it.
I've been saying 33. You said 40.
Just
Corey?
Yeah, I mean, Mike, that was really good. Congratulations. What I would say is,
This man, Corey.
I would just say, like it just felt pretty confrontational. Like you're just kind of like staring at him, like just looking at him the whole time and kind of like pointing at the pamphlet. I'd really show him the keynotes as well as the slicks, kind of get him involved more and kind of get him looking at something else rather than just like focusing on you. Because personally, I just feel like it like it lets everything breathe, and it just informs them more on what's going on when they have something to see. So,
I agree.
Yeah, I would say super good overall. It's no surprise like that you're selling super well. Yeah, I just echo Corey a little bit. It did feel like a little bit like you almost jumped on him as soon as he came at the door. So I just slow down a lot, and just build a little rapport, And then just, yeah, body language a little less confrontational, but if you slow down and you relax a little bit more, that will translate into the body language as well. Yeah.
I think the easiest way to do that is just to use your iPad.
Yeah.
And ask questions.
Yeah, that was going to be my feedback. I thought all of the information that every single rookie that's pitched has been really good. You guys know the product well, you're obviously training, but you're not just there to give information, you're there to sign customers up. And so what I would say, and use some lines, so ask him what he wanted. So he's like, or ask him why he wanted it. So he's like, yeah, if I was going to do it, I'd get the outdoor camera. Like, oh yeah, well Brian was the same. He just had his cars messed with. What was the main reason you were looking at doing the outdoor camera? And he's going to sell himself. And so he goes, oh, well, you know, a year ago there was that drive-by shooting. And you're like, oh, really? Yeah, I hadn't heard about that. It happened straight over those, so not surprised. And you can just talk a bit. He didn't explain his hot button much, so he's like, yeah, I want the outdoor cam. And then you kind of like, oh yeah, sweet, this is where it would go. And then you kind of left it. And then I like to not be super confrontational the way I like to do it. Like, so he's like, well, what did Brian get? And then a great way you can say, well, Brian was really interested in this because. And then you can say stuff like, I'm sure you're the same way. I'm sure you're proactive. And like head, see, you just nodded then when I was nodding my head. That was crazy. So same thing, like you look at, I'm sure you're interested in the same way that Brian was because he wanted to protect his home and family. And I'll literally on the doors just be like nodding all the time. Like this, I'm serious, for real. And I'll be nodding with them. I'm sure you're exactly the same way that you guys have been looking at doing security. And they'll like start nodding and like, no, I'm not interested. I'm like, no, I'm sure you are interested in getting, and they're like, I am interested. And so like, nod along with them and just like, ask why. Those would be some little points for you.
I just sent a group of questions in the group meet.
Why?
So that you guys can use some of those ones that you like to implement them into your pitches.
I did like, Mike, that you tried to see if he was interested in the door lock. So you mentioned the door lock. That was really good. And I really like that you were positive about the price. So when he asked you, you're like, hey, that's the best part. So those were super, super strong parts of your pitch. You diversified away from the cameras to see if you would buy it. And he didn't, and then you went back to the cameras, and then you talked about price like you were upbeat. So that was really, really good stuff.
Just one more thing, Mike. I feel like you kind of grazed over the cameras a little too quickly. Like you didn't show them that you could pull them up from the phone, how easy it is, 24/7 recording. And kind of like, since there were some break-ins, like night vision, you would have loved that. So just kind of like go in depth on like, not too much, but enough to where they understand and how it's going to benefit them. On the cameras.
Yeah, because you want to get the hot. That was his hot button.
Yeah, you just kind of like wash.
You want to hook them. You want to sell them on the hot button, and then backdoor the alarm. Yeah, this is great, but it just won't call the police.
Features and that.
And that's why we'll pay the alarm.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, a couple announcements, and then we're gonna hear from Kyle in the training today.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, Dan did an incentive. So it's a recruiting incentive for the summer, and the inspiration behind this was Ron last year, because guys, there's plenty of people out there that we could find on the doors that'd be really adept for this job. Yeah, we even have Ramon coming today that Cam met on the doors, and that's really the easiest way to introduce people to this job. Because if you're talking to your buddy about it, you know, in January when you're on Bourbon Street. Now you have to like date them for 4 months until they get out to the summer, and then like they're flaky and this, that, the other. If you can have people come out for the summer, bang, now they're in the meeting, you talk about it, their buying temperature's high, I'm interested, bang, they're in a meeting right away. And so I think that's a big thing with Ron, is that he was interested, oh, let me try it out, and he showed up to the meeting that day, and then now he's like freaking, he's the number 3 rep in the entire company behind Brady and Sean Williams. It was like the 2 titans of this company, the 2 titans. Now he's sitting number 3 this week behind those dudes. So it's really incredible. So yeah, Dan is doing a recruiting incentive for people that bring out people during the summer to get them out here. And here, let me make a little flyer here.
Oh, dude.
There it is.
Yeah.